Did get a call back, actually. I'm surprised. From Joan Bryden. So let's turn off call waiting, first off. And let's block the line here. And now let's call her. Because I'm calling from the fax line. I don't want people knowing the fax number because, they'll fax me stuff.
Joan Bryden.
Oh, hey, Joan. Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. So, yeah, I read the article. First off...
Sorry, I had told you I would send it to you, and it went out at like 4 in the morning.
Oh, it doesn't matter. No, I know City...
Wasn't up.
Yeah. No, City TV picked up on it first, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine this morning at 5, about 5:30, saying that he didn't know that I had been interviewing Maxime Bernier. So it was kind of interesting. Anyway, so in reference to the article itself, just letting you know, I'm not angry about the article. I think that half of what you said here is absolutely correct, and some of it's not. But I'm just wondering, what was the actual goal here with the article? That's the only thing I'm not really grasping.
Well, I think it speaks for itself, don't you?
That Tory leadership a Tory leadership hopeful grants an interview to an anti-Islam, pro-white journalist, and the word journalist is in quotes, insinuating that I'm not a journalist. So how does that speak for itself?
Well, do you want to comment on that? I can still add stuff to the story.
Oh, if you wanted me to comment on that, we certainly could. I mean, this is one of those articles that I think will be spread around for a couple of days and then ignored because something else will come around. So I don't see where this hurts me in any way. And I do agree with Bernier, his director, saying Maxime Hoop. Is that a man or a woman?
A man.
And do I pronounce it Hoop or Hoope?
Hoope. We don't have the accents in the English typescript.
I gotcha. Yeah, well, certainly. See, Maxime Hoope would have been completely unaware of me because at the time I was really focusing on the Gazette. So when the interview with Bernier went out, it was supposed to be just a Gazette article.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's right. He doesn't have time to check everybody in advance. But you said, is it not obvious what this article is about? I'm not clear. It's not obvious to me what this article is really about.
Well, I would have to say, in my experience, it's unusual to see politicians, but particularly those who are contesting for leadership positions, giving an interview to somebody who holds your views.
All right, but how do you know what views, aside from what they state publicly, how do you know what views the folks have and what they don't have?
I'm sorry, I meant your views as opposed to theirs.
Well, no,
yours are pretty open, right?
Well, mine are pretty open, and I'm sure that some of them share exactly what I'm thinking in their heads. They just can't say it because their parties will punish them for it. So my question is, how do you know what their real views really are?
Well, that's a point that perhaps we don't, and that's why I suppose in the past politicians who didn't want people to think they shared those views wouldn't have given interviews. But now it's a different world out there in terms of social media and what is journalism, and I think that was kind of the point of the whole article. Okay.
Let me recap what you said there, because I'm still, in my mind, I'm digesting, because our conversation just seemed to be different than what's here. You and I did discuss the fact that anybody can declare themselves a journalist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we agreed on that. I told you my joke about proclaiming that you are a journalist to the universe itself, and now you are one. There's no governing body, and if there was, I wouldn't join. I mean, that's certainly something that I've said, and I believe. But you're referring to citizen journalism as so-called citizen journalism. Now, my counter to that would be that without citizen journalism, then we'd have to endure CBC and Toronto Star, which is not news. It's garbage. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't want to engage in this as a debate here. I think the article speaks for itself.
Okay, so your point, according to what you just told me in the previous paragraph is that journalists like myself who have either balanced or right-wing positions or conservative positions, that we should not be in a position to be interviewing candidates for the prime minister of the country, even though those same candidates, when one day are prime minister, will have to endure me anyway, either positively or negatively.
I'm not saying anything about your right to ask questions.
But you are kind of saying that they should be careful who they talk to, which they should be, but that it's almost an implication here that they should not talk to me at all, that they should not even have the right to talk to a guy like myself. That's kind of what it sounds like.
I don't think I think the article speaks for itself in that sense. It is saying there is potential and peril in this new world of journalism. And, they can determine for themselves what to do with that. I think I'm just trying to point out that this is the new reality.
Okay, so that's what this article is. It's 2.5 pages of pointing out that candidates for anything, including trustee, should be careful who they talk to. Is that really what this is all about?
That's probably good advice for any political aspirant, don't you?
Well, it certainly would be. But, I mean, you're stating here that it almost sounds like you're telling everybody that's running for prime minister in the race here should be borderline punished for having spoken to myself or someone like myself. I mean, none of them have publicly denounced me. But I'm sure that if some white supremacist group went up there and questioned them, they would immediately denounce it publicly. But I'm not being denounced publicly by these candidates.
Well, that's their option, right?
All right. Do you think that they should denounce me publicly?
That's not up to me. That's up to them.
But it sounds like you're implying that they should.
Well, as I say, I think the article speaks for itself.
Of course.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to go.
Okay. I wanted to. Could I talk very quickly here about Omar Alghabra?
Sure.
All right. No, I wanted to point out with him, I've actually been trying to speak with him since June of last year. He promised me on 2 separate occasions an interview and has dodged me for that entire time. Do you think then that our political figures like this, especially a guy who's in my hometown here, have the right to not talk to their constituents and the people they serve? Because that's what it sounds like he's saying here. That he has the right to not talk to me.
In the same way you have the right to ask questions, anybody has the right not to want to answer them, I guess. That's up to them. And presumably voters make judgments based on how they deal with such situations.
Oh, I think that's a must. I mean, Omar Alghabra has dodged me, 8 months now. Almost 9 months he's been dodging me. And I just wanted 15 minutes of his time. So do you think then that politicians should dodge people like yourselves and myself for 8-9 months at a time?
Politicians can choose to speak to whomever they like. And that's their choice. And we write about it, or not, as the case may be.
Okay.
And voters make judgments.
And should they be punished for not speaking to select media crew?
Voters are the ones who decide whether to punish their politicians.
Of course, only through non-voting or voting for someone else.
Precisely.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I got the gist. Listen, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Kevin. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Could you hang on just 1 second, please? Be right with you. And just to give everybody out there an idea, this is how busy I am. I finish one call. I can't even say freedomreport.ca and I get another call, but this is wonderful. Keep the phone calls coming in. I got to take this phone call, freedomreport.ca. Elizabeth, how's everything? Yeah, I was just filming a video when you called.